The salvage beacon pulsed through the void like a dying heartbeat. Peter adjusted his scanner, frowning at the readings that made no sense. The derelict vessel, floating 3 kilometers off their starboard bow, was old pre-war, old but its hull integrity read at 98%. Impossible for a ship that had been drifting for 23 years. Janet, you seeing this? Peter called across the bridge of their salvage tug, the Meridian. Janet looked up from her navigation console, her dark hair tied back in the practical bun she always wore during operations. Her amber eyes narrowed as she studied her own screens. Either our sensors are fried, or that ship's been in stasis. No debris field, no radiation scarring, nothing. Run the registry check again. She had already begun typing before he finished speaking. They had been partners for 5 years now. Ever since they'd both washed out of military service, him from a training accident, her from a medical discharge after the Battle of Proxima. They knew each other's rhythms like dancers. The registry came back, and Janet's face went pale. Peter, you need to see this. He crossed the small bridge in 3 strides. The holographic display showed the derelict's identification, UHSV Arcturus. Commission 2287, Captain Marcus Chen. Lost with all hands during the Zeta offensive in 2301, Peter's father. His knees went weak, and he gripped the console's edge. For 23 years, he'd believed the official story. Captain Marcus Chen, hero of humanity, died when the Arcturus made a suicide run against a Krell battlecruiser, buying time for the evacuation of New Singapore colony. There was a monument. There had been a funeral with an empty casket. Peter had been 7 years old, clutching his mother's hand while they played taps. It can't be, he whispered. Janet placed a hand on his shoulder, steady and warm. We need to board her, find out what really happened. The docking procedure was textbook perfect, but Peter's hands shook as he sealed his EVA suit. Janet checked his seals twice, her movements precise and professional, but her eyes held concern. She had lost people too. Everyone had. The airlock of the Arcturus opened with a pneumatic hiss that shouldn't have been possible. Emergency power, maybe, or something else. The corridor lights flickered on as they entered, responding to motion sensors that had somehow maintained function for over 2 decades. This is wrong, Janet murmured through the cum. Ships don't preserve themselves. They moved through corridors that Peter recognized from old photographs. His father had sent videos during his deployment, messages that young Peter had watched 1,000 times. This was the same ship, frozen in time. No bodies, no signs of combat damage, just an eerie preservation that defied physics and reason. The bridge door opened at Janet's touch. Inside, the captain's chair sat empty, but the command console was active. A single message light blinked. Personal log waiting. Peter's fingers trembled as he activated it. His father's face materialized in the holographic display, older than Peter remembered but unmistakably him. The same sharp eyes, the same scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident he'd told Peter about. If you're seeing this, someone found my ship. Marcus Chen's voice echoed through the dead bridge. I hope it's you, Peter. I hope you grew up strong. I hope your mother found peace. Peter couldn't breathe. Janet moved closer, her presence an anchor in the surreal moment. The official story is a lie, his father continued. We didn't die fighting the Krell, we found something. Something humanity wasn't supposed to find. The hologram shifted, showing star charts and coordinates that Janet immediately began photographing with her helmet cam. Beyond the Zeta Nebula, there's a station, ancient, not human, not anything we'd ever encountered. The technology inside, Peter, it's why humans won the war. Everything, the jump drives, the shields, the weapons that turned the tide, it all came from there. Marcus Chin's expression darkened. High Command decided that truth was too dangerous. They couldn't let humanity know we'd built our victory on stolen technology, on secrets we didn't understand. So they made us disappear, told the galaxy we'd died heroes while they stripped this ship and replicated what we'd found. Dad, Peter whispered, though the recording couldn't hear him. I programmed the Arcturus to drift until someone from the Chen family came looking. The ship's AI will only respond to our DNA. I left everything the true coordinates. The research data, proof of what Command did. Use it however you think best. The truth deserves to see light, son, even if it costs everything. The hologram faded. Peter stood motionless, his world rewriting itself around this revelation. Janet was already at the data console, downloading files. Peter, she said quietly, these coordinates, this station could change everything. But if Command buried this once, they'll do it again. He looked at his father's empty chair, thinking of all the years of carefully maintained lies. Then we make copies, lots of copies, spread them so wide they can't suppress them all. Janet smiled, fierce and determined. That's the spirit. Though, you know this makes us traitors, right? The moment we go public. My father died keeping this secret safe for me to find, Peter said, his voice hardening with resolve. I'm not going to let that sacrifice be for nothing. They worked quickly, copying files and data cores. The Arcturus would drift again, waiting perhaps for another generation, but its message would finally reach the galaxy. Humanity had won its war on the backs of ancient technology, stolen from a dead civilization. The truth would be controversial, dangerous, and probably destroy careers and governments. But it would be the truth as they returned to the Meridian. Peter took one last look at his father's ship. Rest now, Dad. I'll finish what you started. Janet fired the engines, plotting a course for the nearest independent news station. Behind them, the Arcturus faded back into darkness, its vigil finally complete, and ahead lay a fight that would shake the foundations of human spacer fight Marcus Chen had started 23 years ago, and his son would now finish. The war for humanity's future had just begun.